Hello, this is Cynthia. If you saw my Instagram this week, you will know that we lost a file. We're absolutely gutted. We had Ben Davis on, children's author, very funny, hilarious postman, and he was brilliant, but the file got corrupted. I tried everything to save it, I lost days to it, and I had to admit defeat in the end. But I went and had a look through for our most popular episodes, and this one is right up there. It's also quite pertinent because the haunted paintings that I discuss in this episode were direct inspiration for my book that's coming out in July, which is called Paint Me Like Your Dead Girls. So if you're interested to learn a little bit about what that book might be about, this is the one for you. It's Georgia and I just talking about weird research that we've done, so a little bit different from the episodes where we interview someone, but we really hope you enjoy it.
Hello again.
Hello. Right, I'm going to start then because last week I talked about the Hands Resisting, which was a haunted painting. So at the minute I'm having a great old time looking at haunted paintings, cursed objects. I think my new book is going to have a collection of like these weird kind of things in. So it's been quite fun. So I came across a few more, let's say supposedly haunted or cursed paintings. And one of them I've got a bit of detail on, and then the others I've just got tiny little like bits and bats. So I've kind of combined them all together. So I think this one might be my favourite one, even though it's very random. So it's called Man Proposes, God Disposes.
Oh.
Yeah, so already it's like creepy. So it's an 1864 oil on canvas painting, and it's by a guy called Edwin Landseer, who was responsible for the lions around Nelson's column. So he designed those as well. So he was like a really famous artist back in the day. And the painting itself is inspired by Franklin's lost expedition. So I didn't look too much into this because it would have been a whole different topic. But some rich guy called Franklin did an expedition to the Arctic, going off exploring, trying to kind of find things that hadn't been found before, or, do some cartography, draw maps and stuff. And the whole expedition went missing. So the whole boat, everything, it just disappeared.
They were.
So that was in 1845. So this painting's like 10 years later. It shows two polar bears, and they are in the wreckage of a ship. You can see the mast, you can see the sails that are all ripped and tattered, and they're eating something. You can see a telescope, you can see all this damage, and then there's like human bones in there as well. So it's basically making out that, polar bears ate the bodies of the people on this expedition. Apparently the meaning behind it is showing humanity and civilization being defeated by nature, which I think is kind of it's a bit like dystopian, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite ahead of its time, that thing of like nature reclaiming stuff. So it hangs in the Royal Holloway University of London collection, and it's the subject of superstitions and an urban myth that it's haunted. Mm-hmm. So it hangs in a university, so it's all, teenagers, people in their early 20s around it all the time. So I'll go back to the title. It's a translation of a Latin phrase, which is from a German book called The Imitation of Christ. And the phrase itself means that kind of, so man proposes, man-made civilization, and then God disposes is the nature taking over aspect of it. So that's what that means. But apparently it was quite a popular phrase at the time, and it was on like a Dutch coin, and it was on something else, and just Victorians, man. It was exhibited at the 1864 Royal Academy Summer Exhibition, and Lady Franklin was invited. So I assume Lady Franklin is the expedition guy's wife, maybe?
Yeah.
But apparently she refused to view the painting because it was offensive, which I get.
Yeah.
So it is apparently well documented. And I say apparently because I couldn't find these documents or this documentation, that students at Royal Holloway believe that the painting is cursed or haunted. So there is a legend that started in around the 1920s or 30s and carried on all the way up to the 1960s, and up to now from some later reading as well, was that anyone who sat in front of that painting, so it's in a picture gallery and they have exams in there. So anyone who sat in front of that painting would fail their exam. That was like which I really like that.
Yeah.
And it's now a college tradition to cover it up with a Union Jack while exams are happening.
That's brilliant.
And that apparently is in the 70s. A student refused to sit the exam and said, I can't sit here, I'm going to fail. So the invigilator went and grabbed the biggest thing they could find to cover it up, which happened to be a Union Jack, because of course, and threw it over it. And then every year since, it's become this tradition that it's covered up in exam times.
Oh, I love that.
I love that too. It's really good. That's the start. That's a little nugget of a story there, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So then that developed into its own like urban legend. And then there's these stories that a student actually killed themselves in an exam. There's no documentation, and it's been said it was a girl, it's been said it was a boy. There's 3 different ways they killed themselves. My favorite one was with a pencil.
Yeah.
So apparently they wrote on their unfinished exam paper, the polar bears made me do it, and then put the pencil on the table and slammed their head into it and killed themselves. So no university record of a death occurring in the picture gallery though. So, but it's been passed on and on and on, and it's just this great urban legend. So that was all I really found. So then I went on Reddit and I had another look around, but it was the same kind of stuff regurgitated. But there was 2 things that I found. So the BBC had an article about how the ship that the picture was based on that had gone missing was actually found in 2014.
Oh.
So I'm going to read about that. That sounds really, I'd love to know like what they found on it. But again, it would have been a whole different topic. So I've not looked at that. And then I went on to Reddit just to see if there was any, like, some people like to put their first-hand stories and stuff on there, don't they? And the only one I could find was somebody had put, Royal Holloway University have an American football team that is called the Bears. Does anyone know if this is like related to the painting? And then someone chimed in and went, yes, I can attest that this is true because I was a cheerleader for the team and we were called the Tomcats. I just love, how funny is that? The Bears and the Tom at an English university. So I never looked up if they were real, but very, very funny. And the book I'm writing at the minute, it's set in America. And there's an American football team at the school, and they're called the Bears.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which I just
it's good
made
idea.
up as a name that worked. And then I've called the cheerleaders the Honey Bears because I thought that was really funny. But you've got the English girl going, oh my God, you're called what?
Yeah.
And they're like, but it's just so normal. The Honey Bears. That's a weird coincidence. So this will be quick now because I've got four paintings. So when I had a look at like haunted paintings, there's a few, like there's one called The Crying Boy, and apparently wherever it turned up, something would set on fire and stuff like that. But there was no backstory or there was no reason, like the one we talked about last week. There were, no one was saying, oh yeah, I was in a terrible place when I painted it, and maybe it's that. But there was a few that caught my attention. So there's one called The Dead Mother. I think it has a different name as well. I think it might be The Crying Girl or The Screaming Girl. And it's an Edvard Munch painting. So in the picture, it's a bit like The Scream. It's a girl with hands on her face. She just looks very sad though. And there's a body in the bed behind her of a woman. And she's clearly dead. And apparently Edvard Munch lost his mum and his siblings to tuberculosis.
Oh,
So it's thought that this is like
yeah.
in reference to that. So people who see this painting claim that they feel uneasy and that the little girl's eyes follow them around the room. But then some of them also say that when they're near the painting, they hear the rustling of bed sheets.
Oh,
I know, I really liked that, but wouldn't you yourself?
oh yeah,
Wouldn't you, if that's what you heard?
100%.
And then I was reading it, and another article helpfully went, they think that's from the mother in the bed. I thought,
Yeah,
yeah, we got that.
yeah, yeah. Thanks for that.
This one I think is my favourite. It's so disturbing, the picture. It's called The Anguished Man, and it's by an unknown artist. And now it says an unknown artist, but then it gives us a fact about the artist. So I don't really know if he's unknown on purpose or if it's just all made up. So the painting is of this, it's like a red and orange figure with like a big wide open mouth. And I've said it's like if a doll met a crash test dummy. That is what it looks like.
Oh,
Like, it's got this weird face that, very like, not, it's humanoid, but it's very smooth and the eyes are not right. And so I put it's known, because I don't know how it's known if the artist is unknown, that the artist mixed his own blood into the paint and then killed himself. So to me, that's an origin story. Yeah. Whoever bought it says current owner heard whispering and crying at night. He had it hanging in his bedroom.
Oh.
Like, this picture is horrific. It's so scary. It's really disturbing looking. So he just hung it in his bedroom. He heard whispering and crying, and he saw a shadowy figure in his room. So, but have a look at that one. There's something off about that one.
Right. At least he didn't put it in his 4-year-old daughter's bedroom like the other guy.
Maybe he just didn't have a 4-year-old to
maybe
talk with it. Maybe it's like, where's the next best place I could put it?
Yeah.
I came across this yesterday. I've never heard of this artist before. The paintings of Arshil Gorky. So the paintings he painted from 1904 to 1938. And apparently there's like loads of stories about these, that they fell from the wall. They caught on fire. They caused visitations from a black-haired ghost in a blue overcoat, which is quite specific. So all these weird things happened around his paintings. And then on March the 1st in 1962, there was an aeroplane, and it was carrying 87 passengers, 8 crew members, and 15 abstract paintings by Gorky. And 2 minutes after takeoff, it crashed into a swamp, killed everybody on board, and destroyed all the paintings.
Gosh.
Mm-hmm. So he might be a good one to look at in the future. And then the last one is just gross, to be quite honest. It's Pogo the Clown. It's a 1990s self-portrait of serial killer John Wayne Gacy.
Oh,
so, I know. When he was in prison, he used to paint and people would buy them.
Oh.
And which is just horrible. So this was bought by a musician called Nicky Stone in 2001 for $3,000. And apparently he regretted it immediately when he got it home, and his dog died, and then his mother got cancer.
Oh.
So he said he didn't want to keep it anymore. So a friend offered to keep it, and then their neighbour was killed in a car crash. So then a second friend stored it, but later attempted suicide. The painting never hung on a wall, and it was later given to a local art dealer.
Why would you offer to keep a painting for somebody?
Especially that they thought had like bad juju attached to it.
You just be like, I'm not going to keep it for you. I'm not going to store it for you. I'll help you drive to the tip with it, though.
No, that's the kind of thing you set on fire, isn't it? Yeah, that's the kind of thing you just burn. So yeah, there we go. A selection of haunted paintings.
Yeah, I think some of those I feel like they're more it's more feasible that they'd be haunted.
Yeah,
with,
that one, the guy mixing his own blood in.
A bit of blood. Yeah.
And then being like driven to madness and going to kill himself afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we love a haunted object.
We do.
Yeah, that was really cool. So my topic is different from what I just spoke about last week. This is a bit more savoury. I don't know why I came across this. I think it might have been from when I started writing Legend Buried, the one about the guy who, Nicholas Valentine, who they bury underneath the tree. Yeah, that's it. And then when they cut the tree down, he comes back to life, and then it's a whole like escapade to try and, you know, stop all these things from happening. But obviously that never saw the light of day, that one. But I think I was playing around with the idea of doppelgangers in that one as well. So I'm going to talk about doppelgangers today. Yeah, a bit of doppelgang action.
I used to be really, really scared of doppelgangers.
Did you?
Yeah. So I read about them in, I want to say like good old Reader's Digest. I read a story or something.
Yeah.
And it was like, if you saw one, it meant that you were going to die. And for years, I was absolutely terrified.
Yeah. Well, when I was at school, there was this girl who looked exactly like me. And she was the total opposite of me, because when I was at school, you can imagine I was all like, you know, mousy in the library, very quiet and, you know, obeying the rules. And she was the total opposite. And I used to be walking down the hallway and I'd get shouted at by a teacher just for walking. And then I'd turn around and they'd be like, "Oh, sorry, Georgia." I thought, do you know what her name was? I'm going to say it. I'm just going to say her first name. Her name was Storm.
Wow.
How cool is that?
That is really, I mean, sound like she lived up to it as well.
Oh, she did, yeah. But we were like the opposites of each other. We were like classic doppelgangers. But anyway, I'll tell you her last name after. I won't say it on here, but she had such a cool name, honestly. She used to have a leather jacket that said Storm on it. Like,
that's so cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so back to doppelgangers. So Wikipedia explains doppelgangers. It's basically a biologically unrelated lookalike or a double of a living person. Literally translated to double goer, a traditional doppelganger is the ghostly counterpart of a living person, and seeing one was believed to foreshadow bad things. It's a German word, they reckon. First known use is in a book by somebody called Jean Paul, which doesn't sound very German, but he used the word Doppelganger with a T. And now it's appeared in loads of stories, the whole idea of doppelgangers, in loads of like fiction, short stories, creepypastas, urban legends, so many TV shows and all sorts. So this idea that another version of yourself is obviously something that's truly horrifying to people.
Yeah.
And so I always think of Vampire Diaries, you know, with Katrina Petrova and Catherine Pierce. So they were doppelgangers, weren't they? And then we have Buffy with Willow from Doppelgangland and then reappearing in The Wish. There was a Midnight Club episode, wasn't there, about a doppelganger?
Was there?
Where she was the ballerina. She wanted to be a ballerina.
Yeah. Oh,
then, yeah. That was a good one. I've written Parent Trap. Really about doppelgangers.
That would be just a different movie.
Yeah. And Blood Brothers. Did you ever do that at school? That was kind of about doppelgangers. Twins, wasn't it? Separated twins.
Yeah. One of my favourite ever sweary phrases comes from Blood Brothers, because I remember doing it at school and thinking, I can't believe they've let us read that word. And then thinking, what a brilliant sentence. And it was one of them says, I couldn't give a flying to a rolling donut.
Oh.
It's just brilliant. Like,
that is
what
good.
A great phrase. And you've got to imagine it in like a Scouse accent.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Just so good.
Yeah. I've written Twin Peaks as well. Did you watch Twin Peaks?
No, I think I was just a little bit too young. I think it was a bit too grown up for me when it was actually on telly, and then I never went back to it.
No, and I don't know if it's one of those things that the nostalgia has just completely overshadowed the quality of it or not. Like, I'd watch it now and be like, oh, I love it, but you might be like, don't know what the fuss is about. That sort of featured a bit of doppelganger stuff going on. And anyways, Stephen King and Clive Barker, everybody has explored this whole idea of doppelgangers. So in other parts of the world, they have different words for the same sort of thing. In Francis Gross's Provincial Glossary of 1787, he used the term fetch instead, which means apparition of a living person. I've put, Francis, stop trying to make fetch happen.
I tried to get a reference to that into my new book and it just didn't work and I had to cut it. Gutted.
Shame.
Fetch is something else as well, isn't it? A fetch. Is it the dog? Is it black dog, a fetch?
I don't know. Well, it's an part of Irish folklore, so you may have heard it elsewhere. Yeah, and basically, this term, it's a supernatural double or apparition of a living person, and the sight of a fetch is an omen. It means that you're going to die. And in ancient Egyptian mythology, a Ka, which is Ka, was a spirit double having the same memories and feelings as its counterpart. And then in Norse mythology, they call it a Vardoga. It's the same sort of thing, basically. So according to myth, seeing a doppelganger was considered to be bad news. It would be impending death for, if you saw yourself as your own doppelganger, then you die. But if you saw someone you know, then it means that they're going to die. So how would you know whether you're seeing a doppelganger? Because you could just see one of your mates in Aldi or something, and you know. But apparently, doppelgangers don't have shadows and they don't have reflections. Does that sound like anything we know?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, do vampires have shadows?
I don't think.
Oh, they can't go out in the day.
No, so we'd never know.
Mm.
We'd never know unless they slapped on the factor 50 and risked it. Anyway, also if you met your doppelganger and they were like chatting to you, they just give you bad advice and tell you to do things that you probably shouldn't be doing, and it would ultimately lead to your demise, basically. So they'd just be like, yeah, you should do that. Go on that skydiving holiday. That's a really brilliant idea. And also, if that doesn't work, they'll just act up and make all your friends think that you've lost it, because they'll just act completely out of character and do really wild things and make everybody think that you've lost your mind. So connected to doppelgangers is this whole idea of twin strangers, and there's like a bit more belief in all of this. We're going to go through all of this. So there's an online phenomenon, apparently, of people finding their twin.
I've seen this. Yeah.
There's quite a few websites, and it's basically like a database of images. So you can upload it seems like a bit of a stupid thing to do, really. I'm going to upload my image to this massive database of people.
Yeah, but you don't think of stuff like that when you
no,
do you?
No, that's it.
Yeah, I've seen ones where I don't know if it's a French photographer, where he will get people who will look like twins, but they're completely different. And you can see it's like have you heard that phrase, like same person, different font?
Yes.
So it's like, that's what it's like. It's like the same person, but there's like these differences that you can't quite put your finger on. What's different about them?
Do you remember when we were talking once about, and I'd been out with my sister and I was telling you about this really handsome waiter that I'd managed to sneak a picture of. And then you were telling me about a really handsome waiter you and Luke saw when you were on holiday. And then we both sent each other our handsome waiter photographs, and they could have been twins. They were
really
completely. Do you not remember that?
No,
they were completely separate people, but they looked exactly the same.
I only remember who you're talking about because we were in America and Luke just kept going, oh my God, he looks like Elf. So that's how I know who you mean. Oh God.
Yeah, it was really funny. But some of these people on this twin thing, they have actually found their twins and met up with them. And they're aghast by how similar they are, but nobody has reported that this has been their undoing or anything. So
that would freak me out.
Yeah, not
I
officially.
wouldn't like that.
No, I wouldn't like it either. Real life examples of doppelgangers. So in 1845, there was a teacher called Emily Sagy who was working at a French language speaking school in Latvia. She was 32 and she was very popular and the girls liked her at the school, and she was, you know, a good teacher and everything. But she started to have this rumor following her around that there was actually two of her, because over a period of time, people kept seeing her in two places. So one day she was writing on the blackboard and a second Miss Saget appeared in front of the class, mimicking her movements in front of the whole class.
Hey.
And yeah, another time she was sitting eating in the dining room when another Miss Saget appeared again. And this kept happening until one day all the girls were in the school hall and they saw Miss Saget picking flowers in the school's garden. And when their teacher left the room, her double suddenly appeared at the front of the room staring at them. So I don't know what that's about, but she never saw the double apparently. But when the double appeared, she would suddenly go really pale and slow.
Oh,
yeah. So she eventually was fired, which I think is a bit unreasonable.
That is a bit harsh.
You can't control your doppelganger. Everyone knows that. But I think
it was astral projection.
Well, yeah,
she went all pale.
Yes, there is a bit of astral projection possibility in all of this. And yeah, she just it was too scary for everyone involved.
Yeah.
So she had to go. Apparently, Queen Elizabeth I saw a version of herself laying on her deathbed the day before she died.
Ooh.
This is a bit like premonitions as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because there's that Abraham Lincoln one, isn't there? That he
yeah, that's here. So he told his wife that he was looking in the mirror and he saw two versions of his face, and one of them was really pale, and she interpreted this as that he would be re-elected but he wouldn't survive, and then he was assassinated like 42 days into his second term. So there's a lot around Abraham Lincoln and yeah, sort of foreshadowing death and stuff. Percy Shelley, who was Mary Shelley's hubby,
yeah,
he was visited by his doppelganger before he died in a sailing accident. Apparently, a few days before he left on this fateful journey, he saw a figure that was him, and he followed him from their Italian beach house out onto the seashore and watched the figure just point silently at the sea, at like the crashing waves, and then he just disappeared.
Oh,
yeah.
Why does that make me think of? Makes me think of that scene out of Father Ted where he's been on the beach and Dougal's big head comes behind him.
John Donne, who is the English metaphysical poet, saw his wife's doppelganger in 1612 in Paris the same night as the stillbirth of their daughter, which is very strange. Yeah. And then Catherine the Great apparently saw her doppelganger riding towards herself on a horse, and she was so terrified that she ordered her soldiers to shoot at it. I think I would.
Oh, it's weird because I always think of those like the scene they will do in a movie or a program where it's like, no, I'm the real, and the person's in the middle, like, who do I shoot or who do I kill? It's like, no, I'm the real one.
Yeah, and Xander gets split in two, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know how they filmed that,
personality. He's got a twin brother, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. His twin brother's much nicer than he is.
Oh.
Anyway, but yeah, there's that bit where they're like, I'm the real one. Yeah. And then Anya wants to keep them both.
Yeah, Anya's like, oh, just for a little bit.
Yeah. So is there any truth in all of this? Can it be explained by science? So there's an assistant professor at Cornell University, and he says that there's only so much genetic diversity to go round, until you get to the point where like there just is going to be really strong resemblances of people showing up, which explains the twin people project thing, that online are people finding people that look like themselves. There was a thing recently, I think you might have mentioned this or we've talked about it before, but there was a guy who was released from prison after 9 years for being convicted of something that he didn't do. He was innocent, but they finally found the real guy. And when he came out of prison and he saw the photograph of the actual criminal, even he said that, like, I would think that that's me, that they just look so similar. So it is a thing. In some cases, seeing your ghostly double can mean some kind of neurological disorder. There was a man who woke one night, or didn't wake, I don't know, maybe he was kind of between sleep and waking, but he saw himself standing at the end of his bed. So he was lying in bed and he like opened his eyes and he was standing at the end of the bed. Like, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
And he'd been experiencing seizures though before he'd had this vision. So when he went to the doctor, and before that, he was so scared he jumped out the window and then ended up in hospital, and they found out that he had a brain tumor, and that's what was causing these hallucinations.
Yeah, I was going to say, because jumping out the window is not a rational. I mean, I know you might be scared, but it's not a rational thing to do, is it?
No. And also, when you hear someone jumping out of a window, do you immediately imagine them crashing through the glass, or do you imagine them opening the window first and then jumping out of it? Because double glazed windows, that's what you'd have to do. So
I imagine that it's already open. I think my brain just removes like having to do anything.
Yeah.
I only jump out because it's open. But what was I going to say? So on one of the early episodes, I did pareidolia, which I still don't know if that's how you say it. So I think people look for patterns naturally, and people do love saying like, "Oh, don't you look like such a body?" Or have you ever had it? I've never really had it much because I don't think I really look like anyone. Like, I certainly don't look like anyone famous or anything. But then a couple of times, like, I remember there was like an awards thing, and Simon Cowell was that, that was on telly, like the Brit Awards or something. And there's this blonde woman sat next to him, and Luke's friend sent it to him saying, "Oh my God, is Cynthia at this thing?" And we looked at the picture and we were like, that could not look less like me. But they were absolutely adamant that this person looked like, and it not one bit looked like me. But people love doing that and like finding patterns and matching things up.
And do you know what I like doing? And this is a weird gift. I like doing love childs. I don't like making love childs. Let me rephrase that. So when you've got like an actor or a celebrity that they look like they would be the love child of another celebrity and another celebrity. And whenever I say it to Kirk, he's like, "Oh my God, you are absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on." Yeah. So that's probably a bit of a pattern thing as well. But I used to, when I was younger, not now, I used to get people would say, "Do you know who you look like?" And I'd be like, "Sophie Ellis-Bextor." I used to get that all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think she's got a bit of a wider jaw than me.
Yeah, she's got a very pointy chin.
Yeah. I wish I looked like her now. She's aged really well. Anyway. Oh, thanks. So, sorry, where did we get to? So, he jumped out of the window and ended up in hospital. And that's obviously when they found out that he had this tumour. And they said that this is something called the doppelganger effect. But there's another word for this as well, which I will get into later. But it's basically when a person can hallucinate that they're actually seeing or interacting with another me because of some kind of neurological thing that's going on, a visual double. So, yes. So, you're right.
Wow.
There.
Sorry. I just keep yawning. I'm not bored. I'm just tired.
I won't take it personally. We're getting into the physicsy sort of side of it now. And people apparently report seeing their duplicates on the street all the time. And like other people, like your friend being like, "Oh, look, that's Cynthia on the..." But I suppose it's dependent on the observer, really, because sometimes you see what you want to see. Yeah.
Saying that, one of my friends used to work in a coffee shop near here, and ages and ages and ages. Actually, we were talking about this the other night. She kept going, there's a girl in the town that we live in. She was like, who looks just like you. She said she keeps coming in for a coffee. And she's like, and I always think it's you, and it's not. And I was like, who? Well, we figured out later on, it was my sister.
Oh.
Because they had never met. But then me and my sister have never thought that we looked alike. But she was convinced it was me coming in for a coffee. And then we finally figured out it was my sister.
That's really funny.
Isn't it weird?
But, yeah, because me and my sister, I don't think we really look alike. You've seen pictures of my sister.
I can see the resemblance, yeah.
Yeah, and people can, because when I was at school, I would go into my first class of sixth form and the teacher would say, oh my God, you're Emily's sister. Just immediately. And I was working at a library a couple of years ago, and my sister used to work at the school that was local to the library as well. And I was working at the library and I had my glasses on and I was wearing a face mask because it was like COVID times. And I walked in and this woman said, oh my goodness, are you Emily's sister? And I was like,
how?
Yes, how can you tell?
You got the same forehead.
She was one of the parents from the school that my sister worked at.
No way.
I was just like, that's crazy. Anyway, so yes, this idea of seeing people on the street that could be your double, they call it bilocation. This phenomenon of bilocation. And there's a paranormal investigator called Lee Roberts, and he says that now exploring this sort of paranormal type stuff, people sort of tend to look at it with more of a scientific view now. So this idea that we're more focused on looking at the idea of different dimensions and time phases that operate at the same time, this whole idea of many worlds theory. And he says that could it be that someone from another one of these worlds or dimensions has managed to find a way into our current time or dimension? I mean, that's just a bit too mind-blowing for me. And also upside down much from Stranger Things. That's cool, isn't it? So
I always wondered why in Stranger Things they didn't have other versions of people.
Yeah, doppelgangers, yeah. Of maybe in the next series. Maybe in the next series. Maybe there has been one for the last 4 seasons, Cynthia, and we don't know.
That would be good. Yeah.
Anyway, maybe
trademark, copyright.
Yeah.
Come and talk to me, Duffer Brothers.
Yeah. If you want some input. Yeah. If you want a good storyline.
Yeah.
You need some help.
That reminds me of a thing I was listening to about someone saying how maybe ghosts are just like a time slip type thing. So if you see a ghost of a Victorian person in your kitchen, but they might see you and they might be in their Victorian kitchen and they might be like, who is that person? And then it's gone. Yeah. And you both think you've seen like a ghost, but it's just a weird time slip.
Well, yeah, there was another guy who was walking down the street and then passed himself coming the other way. He was like, oh, that was weird. 10 years later, he was walking down the street the other way and he passed himself again.
Oh my God.
He passed it. So that really does kind of suggest that there might be a bit of a time slip.
Yeah, because there's a really haunted street apparently in Liverpool where stuff like that happens all the time.
Oh, wow.
Like a time travel street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. So there's another professor. There's lots of professors and very smart people discussing all of this stuff. His name is Christopher French, and he's a leading animalistic. He's not like an animal. Anomalistic, like an anomaly psychologist at Goldsmiths, and so that's the study of human behaviour connected to the paranormal. And he says that, like we discussed before with the guy who had the brain tumor, he said mental illnesses like schizophrenia and stuff and other conditions like that, they can cause hallucinations, and it's known as heautoscopy, HEAUT, oscopy. And he says, but often it's not always people have those kind of conditions, and often it's not reported because people are so worried that they've seen themselves walking down the street, or they just think, well, I'm not going to tell anybody that's happened because they're going to think that I've lost my mind.
But how do we know that it's something wrong with the brain? How do we know that it's not just something different in someone's brain that makes them able to see things that we can't?
Yeah, something right, not something wrong.
Yeah.
And so just a little statistic here. It says that people who normally report seeing doppelgangers are usually of the age between like 20 to 40-year-olds. And they said that this kind of makes sense, because if you think of your life like from that like 20 to 40, you know, you're like getting your first job, trying to climb the career ladder, like maybe trying to meet somebody, buying a house, like just loads and loads of stress. Just modern day living is just so stressful. So, and it's all like a perfect storm for kind of creating stress, but also a lack of sleep. Sometimes this is when people have these hallucinations. And they said also that younger people tend to be like out on the razzle dazzle a bit more and drinking a bit more. And so again, that's something else that if you're not sleeping, if you're not getting enough sleep, then you're more prone to seeing this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And they do connect it with sleep paralysis as well, which again is another thing. If you're not sleeping properly or what have you, where you're sort of between that sleep and wake, and you're experiencing something in your head that your body hasn't caught up with yet, doesn't know that you're still asleep. So that's how they explain it as well. So I don't think we need to be worried about meeting our actual doppelgangers and them talking us into doing something really stupid. So yeah.
No, I don't need myself to talk me into something stupid.
Do that yourself.
Yeah. Maybe that's it though. Maybe it would be dangerous. Maybe just another you going, yeah, go on. You'd be like, how can I be wrong?
Yeah. It's a really creepy idea. The idea that there is somebody else that looks just like you and has all your memories and all of your mannerisms and everything, and they could just trick everyone that you know into believing that they're you.
Ooh.
And it's just a recipe for disaster. Whenever there's a doppelganger in a TV show or in a book or whatever, it just never works out well.
No, it's always tragic, isn't it?
Oh yeah. You just think, oh no, this is not going to be good.
I think the story that really scared me when I was younger is similar to the Shelley one. And I think it was a girl who saw her doppelganger and followed it through the woods and then had an accident. And, you know, so it was that eerie kind of, but didn't like speak to the doppelganger, but just saw it like going past the trees. And that, something about that really stuck with me forever. But then now it wouldn't bother me.
No.
Thinking about it doesn't bother me. But yeah, if you were out like walking in the woods and you thought you saw yourself, that would be scary.
That would be scary. Seeing anybody when you're out walking in the woods is scary. But if it's like you, I think you probably would go after them as well, because there'd be a part of you that's like, oh, I want to make sure they're okay. I want to make sure I'm okay.
Yeah. Or you'd be like, is that a family member? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's quite weird.
Yeah.
You see? No, you can't see it. Loli's just asleep behind me and she's just rolled over, just belly out in the air.
Oh.
Twitching her little legs now because she can hear me.
So that's doppelgangers.
Very good. Oh, look, she's had enough. She's gone. Yeah, scary. I feel like it was in the bracket of human combustion and quicksand.
Quicksand.
And like they were the things that I was scared of as a kid, and I'm sure I read about all of them in Reader's Digest.
Now, my friend Kathy, who I've given a shout out to before, we were discussing these things that we used to be terrified of as children, and quicksand was her thing, because she was just really concerned about quicksand everywhere she went, because it was a thing, wasn't it?
I was telling my niece yesterday how in the 80s being scared of quicksand was a thing, and like when we're going to come across it.
Yeah, and you don't hear about it now. You don't hear about quicksand. I tell you the other thing as well, this is not really the same thing, but there was a lot of talk about not putting plastic bags over your head as a child.
Yeah.
That was like drummed into you, and you don't really hear that anymore. And we were discussing it, and we were like, maybe when we were children, like plastic bags were like quite a newfangled thing, and it was like one of those things. They were like, oh, you have to be careful of them. Also, white dog poo. You don't hear about not licking white dog poo these days.
But then I think that's because we have to pick it up. Like in the 80s, you didn't have to pick up, you'd just have it anywhere you wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, let it go white, let a kid lick it, and then they go blind.
That scene out of Step Brothers, isn't it? Where the kid is trying to make him lick the white dog poo.
Yeah. And I think part of this, not the white dog poo and not the plastic bags, is because of those public announcement adverts that they used to do in the 80s. And there was one that was really, and I read about it in the Fortean Times recently because I really remember it. And it was kids on a farm and how dangerous farms are. And one by one, these kids are like picked off on playing around this farmyard. And one of them like ends up in like, you know, the front of a tractor. And another one like drowns in, he goes into a shed that's obviously like, it's like a grain store or something.
Silo.
And he jumps off and he just like, he sinks into it like quicksand.
They are scary though. I think that's either on a film or in a book that I've read where that happens.
Yeah.
That is scary. Because there's no traction. Like, you are just going to sink and like crushed by this grain. Ooh.
Yeah. Not nice. But anyway, sorry, that took a bit of a turn, didn't it?
It always does.
It always does. Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Always. Yeah, okay. See you next week.
Yeah, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Browser history deleted.